Hey guys, what's up? Bass in the Bank here. Today we're going to be doing a weird little video. I find it kind of important, especially if you guys are people who enjoy eating fish. It's a necessity to do if you know how to eat fish, and that's to clean them. It's really simple to clean fish if you know the correct way to do it. There's two ways to do it, and I prefer to do it the way where you have to cut down along the spine a little bit, but I'll show you guys later in the video. The other way is to cut directly on the backbone through the ribs. It's harder to do with some of these bigger fish. So stay tuned to see the necessity of cleaning fish. Okay guys, first thing you guys need to know is what you need for cleaning fish. Step one, you're gonna need a fish. I'm gonna demonstrate on the biggest fish we got today. You're also gonna need a bowl with some ice water. These are all the fillets that we got from today. And then we also need a trash can / bucket that you dispose of. And the one last thing, or there's a couple other things, you need a cutting board, a sharp fillet knife, and a paper towel to clean. And an optional thing would be using latex gloves, which I may or may not do. Okay, now on to cutting up the fish. Hey guys, this is the first step you guys want to do when cleaning a perch or bluegill or crappie or any kind of panfish, or bass for that matter. What you want to do is you want to lift up this fin, and there's a gill plate. You want to find it and make sure not to cut through it. Cut right behind it on a pretty sharp angle and go right down to the backbone. And you don't really need to cut through the stomach, but it's nice. Cut right there, and then you should see it right to the backbone. Then you flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. Lift up the fin and cut on an angle. Okay, the next step is when you're on this, when you get to the backbone, you want to follow the backbone all the way back across this dorsal fin, so right in front of it, but make sure not to go behind it. So make the initial cut. You make sure you not want to go through the ribs. You only want to go a little bit, and make sure you puncture through the scales. Especially on these bigger fish, it's harder, but you want to go as close to the dorsal fin as possible. Keep cutting, make sure you're hitting bones on each time, but not going through them. And keep feeling, and then eventually you should feel an empty space right about here, where you take your knife and push all the way through to the fish. And you probably should hear some gas because that's the stomach gas releasing. Then you want to have it all the way through, and on a sharp angle, push down with some force along the backbone to the tail, and you cut all the way through. And you should not have too much meat left. As you can see the bones, and you can hear your knife scraping. That means you did a pretty decent job. Next step is you drag your knife and make sure you're hitting bones. When you do that, you're cutting down to the ribs, and that's what you want, because the next step you do is you lift up this thing, this flap of meat, and you just scrape across the ribs. So you just go over it, so there shouldn't be too much of a mess. It's a lot easier of cleanup than other methods. You just drag it across the ribs, and sometimes the stomach does pop. That's okay. It shouldn't spill too bad. Okay, and when you run out of meat, you should see some scales. You want to just stick your knife and cut down across, so then that part's easy. Then you keep lifting up until you see that same thing up farther in the meat, so you keep looking, you see the scales, you take it and you cut through. Keep going up there, across the ribs, see some scales, take it, cut through, and then cut through, and this is what you should see. So basically you do that on the other side, and so I'm not going to really show that, but I'm going to show the next step of cutting up the fish, which is skinning it. So basically if you need to see more, just rewind it and then watch it again, and because it's exactly the same as before, but this is the fillet you should see, and you shouldn't see too much meat left behind, but you should maybe see it when you first start because beginners. So the next thing you want to do is find the shallower side of meat where there's less meat, and then cut a little bit up from the back and go straight down till you hit the skin. Then go backwards so you have that little bit of meat left behind. It's okay, that's what you need. And then you put your finger on that piece of skin left behind as a anchor point, and then you just keep your knife as flat as possible with downward force. Keep going forward and sawing the skin, but try not to cut through it. You're trying to get as much meat as possible from this perch. And that's your fillet. Pretty good fillet. Not very much meat left of the skin. And like I said before, you just do the opposite to this side of the fish. Cut across right there, and then puncture through down here, and cut down to the tail and skin it like I just did. This has been Bass in the Bank. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Thanks.